The room froze when the slap landed. A billionaire's daughter, furious and entitled, struck a black woman across the face in front of hundreds of guests and flashing cameras. The sting of the blow was nothing compared to the venom. In her words, poisonous slurs dripping with racism, hurled under chandeliers meant to celebrate generosity and grace. Everyone gasped, but no one moved. Phones rose, live streams exploded, and whispers turned into a chorus. Who is she? Why isn't security stepping in? The daughter laughed, certain of her power, but she had no idea who she had just attacked. Because the woman bleeding under that spotlight wasn't an intruder. She wasn't a stranger. She was the very force behind the gala itself, the keynote speaker, the largest donor, and someone with a history tied painfully close to the Sterling family. The reckoning waiting in the next breath would shake the room to its foundations. What happens when arrogance collides with truth in front of the world? Stay with me to find out. And while you're here, where are you listening from tonight? Drop your city in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Now, the story begins. The Grand Plaza Hotel's ballroom is a cathedral of marble and chandeliers, every surface polished to gleam under 100 golden lights. Laughter and crystal chatter fill the hall until the elevator doors slide open with a reluctant ding. Victoria Sterling storms out first. Her diamond heels strike marble like gunshots. She is late. She knows it. And the waiting has left her seething. A woman born to glide is instead stomping, her breath clipped, jaw tight. A champagne flute slips from a waiter's hand as she brushes past him, muttering about incompetent elevators loud enough for the nearest circle of donors to hear. Their nervous laughter trails behind her like smoke. Unbelievable, she hisses, tugging at her gown's hem. The fabric clings too much, as though conspiring against her. Her Patek Philippe ticks at her wrist, each second another insult. She is not accustomed to being kept waiting, not by machines, not by men, not by the city itself. Then she sees her. Kenya Washington stands alone in the grand lobby. Silk navy dress, draped simply over her tall frame. A napkin rests in her hand, just collected from a tray, though she has not yet touched it to the lip of her glass. The chandelier throws fractured light across her skin, a warm bronze sheen against the cold marble, and for a moment, she seems untouchable, as though she belongs to another plane of this evening entirely. Victoria's eyes narrow. The fury of the elevator, the humiliation of being late, the restless hunger for control, all of it funnels toward that single figure. Her mouth hardens into a smile shaped less by amusement than by disdain. She doesn't ask who the woman is, doesn't consider that anyone here might have earned their place. She only knows that someone else is standing where the spotlight should have been hers. She moves. The crowd parts not out of courtesy but fear of collision. The echo of her heels multiplies, beating against the marble like war drums. Heads turn, conversations die. Waiters hold trays still. Even the string quartet falters for a breath, bowstrings whispering across silence. Victoria closes the last step in a rush and raises her hand. Her rings catch the chandelier light, diamonds sharp as teeth. She doesn't pause to measure the distance, doesn't temper the strike. The blow lands flat and loud. The slap reverberates through the ballroom like the crack of a pistol. A streak of crimson opens across Kenya's cheek, where the diamond edge cuts skin. Her glass tilts, red wine bursting against the marble in a spray that spatters her dress and fans across the floor. Guests gasp as though the shards of sound cut them too. Phones rise higher into the air, their small lenses recording, indifferent. Kenya staggers, but does not fall. Her hand flies instinctively to her cheek, warm blood slicking her palm. She steadies herself against the table's edge, shoulders squared, breath pulled sharp through parted lips. The sting radiates outward, but her spine remains straight. She does not give the crowd the spectacle of collapse. Victoria steps back a half pace, chest heaving, satisfied. Her lips curl into a smile that does not reach her eyes. Around them, 300 guests stand paralyzed, frozen mid-sip, mid-bite, mid-breath. Champagne bubbles die in crystal flutes. A waiter's tray trembles, glasses clinking in delicate alarm. The ballroom holds its breath, trapped in the echo of that single merciless sound. The slap that cracked open the night. Silence holds for a heartbeat after the slap, then fractures. "Did she just?" a man whispers. "Keep filming." Someone answers. The quartet stops playing altogether. Bow tips hover in the air like raised white flags. Waiters freeze with silver trays at shoulder height, crystal sweats in their hands. Victoria lifts her chin, breath still ragged from the strike. "Security," she announces to the chandeliered ceiling, voice bright and hard. "Remove this woman before she infects our guests." The word hangs there. Infects. Heads swivel. Phones rise higher. Little red dots bloom as live streams go live. Kenya presses the napkin to her cheek. White turns pink, then red. She blinks through the sting, eyes adjusting to the thicket of lenses and faces. A socialite in emerald leans to her friend. "Who is she? Who cares?" The friend whispers back, "This is insane." Victoria takes a deliberate step closer, heels clicking, like metronomes. "Did you hear me? You don't belong here." She lets her gaze rake Kenya's dress, then the clutch, then the understated jewelry. "What did you think would happen? You wander in, steal a glass, steal a photo, then steal a wallet?" A scatter of uncomfortable laughter breaks against the marble. Kenya's voice is low, steady. "Ma'am, step back." "Ooh," Victoria mocks softly. She can speak. From the edge of the room, a young woman lifts her phone and whispers into a tiny mic. "This is Sarah Carter, live from the Sterling Foundation Gala. You're seeing what I'm seeing." Her viewer count ticks upward, numbers flashing across the screen. 87, 131, 212. A photographer with a press badge shifts his weight. His finger hesitates above the shutter, then falls. The camera clicks. Another shot. Another. He lowers it, swallows, raises it again. The cluster around Victoria tightens. Two of her friends present their best practiced sympathy faces. "Vicky, darling, you were brave," one murmurs for the microphones. "So composed." The other adds, angling herself toward a phone. Victoria's smile hardens. Someone has to protect standards. Kenya kneels to gather a card that skated on the wine. Her fingers come away sticky. Glass grit biting skin. She winces as a shard kisses her palm, then folds the napkin and presses it harder to stop the blood. "Don't touch that." Victoria nudges a diploma sleeve with the toe of her heel. Counterfeit smudges. Victoria, a silver-haired patron, breathes. Perhaps nothing." Victoria's voice sharpens. "These people slip through cracks. Tonight they met marble." Murmurs ripple. The phones shift closer, like birds pecking toward a shiny thing. From the bar, David Kim speaks up without raising his voice. "You're committing assault on camera." "And you're irrelevant on camera," Victoria replies. "Security." A uniformed hotel guard appears at the perimeter. He doesn't move in. His eyes flick from the cut on Kenya's cheek, to the rows of phones, to Victoria's blazing certainty. His radio crackles. He presses a finger to his earpiece, listens, says nothing. Sarah's whisper threads through the hush. "We have security watching, no one touching." The woman's bleeding. Her counter leaps. 468. 709. 1. 2. Kenya stands. Not tall so much as precise. "I asked you to step back." Victoria leans forward until perfume is a wall between them. "I can smell the lies." "Miss Sterling," the photographer says, finding his voice. "Please." "She's hurt." Victoria turns, eyes glittering. "Marcus, darling, the angle is from the left. I'm Charity. She's Trespass. Try to keep up." Kenya shifts the napkin, checks the bleed, folds, presses again. The cloth is warm now, heavy. She breathes once, twice, measures her words like sutures. "I am a guest." "Prove it." Victoria snaps. "Show us the fake invite. Show us the fake name. Show us the fake smile." Sarah pans her phone to catch the circle of faces. Admiration, hunger, horror. "Comment if you think I should call the police," she whispers. Hearts explode up the screen. A waiter edges close with a clean towel. "Ma'am, do you—" "Back away," Victoria orders. The towel hovers, then recedes. Kenya lowers her hand a fraction, blood crawling down the line of her jaw. She doesn't wipe it. The room should see what happened. She sets her clutch on the table, opens it, and begins pulling out what she can reach with one good hand. A card holder, a folded program, a pen. Her phone lies face up, spidered with cracks. The clock shining. 9:54. 4 minutes, she says, almost to herself. "For what?" Victoria sneers. "Nothing you're prepared for." There is a small intake of breath from the photographer. He lifts his camera again. The guard shifts another step inside the ring of watchers. "Miss Sterling," he ventures. Maybe we enforce the line," Victoria says. "Maybe we keep standards. Maybe we stop pretending." "Pretending what?" David asks. "That this," she sweeps an arm at Kenya, "is the same as us." The words shiver across the hall. The chandeliers seem to dim under them. "Ma'am," the guard says, voice smaller now. Sarah's counter climbs. 1, 843. 2, 119. 2, 603. The comments blur into a waterfall of text. Kenya looks at Victoria's hand, the cluster of diamonds glittering red. "You cut me. You bumped me." Victoria's smile is glass. Cause, effect, you spit. Projection. Victoria answers lightly. "You're dripping on the floor." Kenya folds the napkin again, with the careful stubbornness of someone who finishes what she starts. "Step back." Victoria doesn't. She angles in. A cobra choosing a vein. "Say please." Kenya looks past her, over her shoulder, into the thicket of lenses, and power, and fear. "Everyone can see the cut," she says. "Everyone can hear your words. Remember them." A voice near the doors. They're trending. Another voice. "Whose side are we on?" Shoes scrape. Bracelets clink. Somewhere a cork pops prematurely. Victoria laughs, high and thin. They're always trending. Outrage is a hobby. David's phone lights his face. He reads without emotion. Multiple civil rights attorneys in the comments. They're offering representation. "Cute," Victoria says. "Tell them to build a zoo." The guard's radio chirps again. He presses his earpiece, nods once, then twice. Something in his shoulders loosens, and then tightens more than before. Kenya's gaze drops to her cracked phone. 9:55. She clicks the side button, silencing the buzz of a call labeled private. The vibration hums against the linen as if trying to burrow back into the night. 3 minutes, she murmurs. Victoria hears it and smirks. "Until security drags you out." Kenya lifts her eyes. They are steady and unlit by panic. "Until the room learns who it's applauding." For a beat, even the phones seem to hesitate. Then the echo of the slap, still trembling in the crystal and the marble and the blood-warm cloth, settles into a waiting silence that feels like the breath before a verdict. The slap has already carved itself into memory, but what comes after is worse. The choosing. A cluster of jeweled gowns and tuxedos closes around Victoria, like petals folding at dusk. Bethany Rockwell, hair piled high and lacquered stiff, leans close. Darling, you were magnificent. Her voice is syrup poured for the cameras. Caroline Astor giggles behind one manicured hand. Finally, someone with the courage to say what we're all thinking. Their laughter is too loud, too bright. It clinks against the marble and clatters into silence. Phones tilt closer, catching their adoration. The pair flanks Victoria as though she is royalty returning from battle, not a woman with another's blood glistening on her rings. Kenya steadies herself against the table, napkin-soaked, jaw set. Her chest rises, falls. She says nothing. From across the room, Patricia Vanderworth grips her pearls until the strand creaks. Her face is pale, genuine horror cracking her mask of elegance. Victoria. She begins. Her voice is thin, uncertain. Victoria cuts her off with a diamond-edged smile. What, Patricia? Should we let gatecrashers drink our wine and breathe our air? Patricia closes her mouth. Around her, others do too. Some glance at their shoes. Others stare fixedly. At chandeliers. Silence becomes complicity. But not everywhere. Near a marble column, Sarah Carter keeps whispering into her phone. I'm witnessing what looks like a racially motivated assault at Manhattan's most exclusive gala. The words barely carry, but the phones hear them. Her viewer count leaps. 312, 498, 621. She shifts, voice steadier now. Look closely. Her cheek is bleeding. That's a diamond cut. This isn't a scuffle. It's calculated. Two guests glance at her, startled by the audacity. She doesn't care. The counter climbs. 947. 112. On the opposite side, Marcus Reed finally raises his camera. He has spent 20 years curating polite photographs of the wealthy. No mess, no pain, only gloss. But his finger trembles now. Through his lens, he sees the blood, the glass, the slumped napkin, the cruelty disguised as decorum. He exhales and presses the shutter. The click sounds louder than a cough. Another click. Another. He lowers the camera. A beat of guilt. Then he raises it again. Victoria catches the sound, turns, and flashes her brightest smile as though he were a paparazzo summoned for her coronation. Make sure you get my good side, Marcus. The hero side. He takes the photo anyway. Kenya lifts her head, blood dried along her jaw. Her voice is soft but precise, carrying like a scalpel across the ballroom. Miss Sterling. The crowd stiffens. Victoria spins back, face tightening. Don't you dare speak to me. Kenya doesn't flinch. She places the napkin back on her cheek, fingers steady despite the tremor of pain. The crimson stain blooms again, spreading. Her other hand rests on her clutch, on the cracked phone, on the weight of patience. A man near the doors mutters to his date, "This is going to end badly." The date whispers back, "It already has." Sarah's phone counter surges past 1,600. The chat fills with comments. Call the cops. Sue her. I can't believe this is real. The air is heavy with champagne gone flat and the copper tang of blood. Every chandelier feels brighter. Every camera more intrusive. And between them all, the room divides. The enablers circling Victoria. The silent majority shrinking into shadows. And the few voices daring to cut through. Kenya stands at the center, her silence sharper than Victoria's shrieks, the napkin pressed tight, the blood still blooming, the choosing is underway, and the hall has already declared its factions. The ballroom has become a stage, and cruelty insists on its encore. Victoria stoops, snatches a shard of crystal, and flicks it toward Kenya's knees. The glass bounces, skids, spins in a glittering arc. She laughs, the sound high and manic. Then her heel descends, grinding another shard into Kenya's hand. as she bends to collect her papers. The crunch is sharp, unmistakable. Kenya's breath hitches, fingers flinching back, skin nicked. Tiny beads of blood bloom like seeds pushed through marble cracks. "Stay down," Victoria hisses. "That's where you belong." Phones catch the moment from every angle. The heel, the hand, the flinch, the red smear. Gasps ripple like wind in silk. Someone near the buffet mutters, "She broke skin." Kenya exhales, forces stillness into her body. Her training catalogs the injury surface: lacerations, minor blood loss, shards embedded but not catastrophic. Her jaw tightens. She presses her lips together, bends again with deliberate precision, and reaches for the scattered sheets. Her credentials sprawl across the floor, papers soaking wine-dark stains. A Harvard diploma, letters of fellowship, citations. Ink bleeds, edges curl. A card slides under the table leg. She stretches with her uninjured hand, retrieves it. Victoria laughs louder. "Look at this. Forged garbage." She kicks a medical license so it clinks against stone. Downloaded from Google, no doubt. The crowd shuffles, unsettled. Someone coughs. Another whispers. "Those look real." But no one steps forward. Kenya gathers what she can, stacking the sodden pages with surgical care. Napkin still pressed against her cheek. Each movement aches, but she does not falter. Victoria straightens, eyes blazing. "Security!" she shouts. "Arrest her for trespassing, theft, assault on my person." The head of security lingers at the perimeter, shifting his weight. His radio crackles. He doesn't move. His eyes dart from the blood to the crowd of cameras, to Victoria's glittering certainty. Kenya rises slowly, steady despite the sting. She squares her shoulders. Her voice is calm, clipped, the cadence of the operating room. "Miss Sterling, there is a misunderstanding." The quietness lands heavier than shouting. Every phone microphone catches it. Victoria's face twists. "Don't talk to me." Spit flashes under the lights as she screams. "Why is this thing still speaking?" She jerks Kenya's purse from her hand, snaps it open, and scatters contents across the floor. Business cards, certificates, an ID badge, clatter against marble. "There." Victoria points, triumphant, impersonating a doctor. She snatches the Harvard diploma, waving it like contraband. "Fake, all of it." The crowd stirs. Sarah Carter's whisper floats again into the hall, broadcast live. "Medical documents. Harvard. Johns Hopkins. This looks authentic." She's destroying real credentials. Her viewer count spikes past 2-0. Kenya kneels once more, reaches for her medical license. Victoria's heel slams down on her fingers. The crack is audible. A small, sharp sound that cuts through the entire room. Kenya stifles the cry rising in her throat. Pain floods her hand, radiating through bone. "Oops!" Victoria's voice drips delight. "Clumsy me." Gasps ripple. Patricia Vanderworth clutches her pearls harder, face drained of color. "You broke her hand!" Victoria sneers. "I stepped on fake papers. No harm done to anyone important." Kenya lifts her head, eyes fierce through swelling. Her voice, though strained, carries steady. "Enough." The single word halts the whispers. The napkin against her cheek is soaked scarlet, her fingers bent, her papers ruined. Yet she stands. The dignity in her stance is unbearable against the decadence of cruelty. The ballroom holds its breath. Knowing this is no longer humiliation, it is escalation. And everyone with a phone knows the world is watching. The ballroom no longer belongs to the chandeliers or the orchestra. It belongs to the phones. Sarah Carter's live stream surges as comments stream in faster than she can read. This is a hate crime. Call the cops now. Share, share, share. The viewer count rockets past 3-0. Her whisper quivers as she narrates, "This woman's hand was just broken on the marble floor. On the far side, David Kim raises his phone, voice steady and loud. You've all just witnessed a federal hate crime. It's live. Thousands are watching. Civil rights lawyers already have the footage. His words slice through the hush like glass. Victoria's champagne flute trembles in her grip. She forces a laugh. A hate crime? Don't be ridiculous. I protected us from a dangerous intruder. David tilts his phone toward her, numbers climbing up the screen. You called her ghetto trash. You spat in her face, and you broke her hand. That's assault with racial motivation. Textbook federal charges. Murmurs ripple. Guests lower their glasses to check their own notifications. News alerts buzz. Hashtags bloom across their screens. Victoria Sterling monster. Sterling assault. A woman in diamonds gasps as her own name trends in a tagged post. Complicit. She tucks her phone into her clutch and edges toward the exit. Victoria's eyes flash. She steps forward, shrill and unrelenting. Look at her. She jabs a manicured finger at Kenya. She's diseased. HIV. Hepatitis. Who knows what filth she's carrying? I saved you. The slander hits harder than the slap. Gasps scatter across the room. Sharper now. Indignant. A man whispers, "She's a doctor. You can't say that." Sarah whispers into her mic, her counter climbing past 50. She just accused a surgeon of spreading disease. This is defamation, on top of everything else. Kenya breathes slow, holding the pain in her broken fingers. Her voice doesn't rise above the chaos. Miss Sterling. Enough. Her tone is scalpel clean, surgical. It silences more effectively than shouting. David's jaw tightens. You're finished, Victoria. But Victoria doubles down, voice cracking, face gleaming with sweat under the chandeliers. No, I am the one saving this gala. I'm the only one with the guts to. The phones tilt closer, recording every manic syllable. The crowd has shifted now. No longer frozen in silence. They are dividing. Some back away, terrified of being linked to her. Others whisper, horrified, but still inert. And a few, just a few, step closer to Kenya, their bodies angled protectively, though they say nothing. Sarah's viewer count spikes again. 8-0, 10-0, 12-0. The hashtags multiply, comments flooding. Where are the police? She needs to be arrested. This is going to CNN. In the midst of the roaring digital tide, Kenya presses her good hand against her chest, over her medical school ring. Her face is streaked with blood, her papers ruined, her hand shattered, but her stance is unbroken. The chandeliers shimmer, and the ballroom realizes the truth. This story is no longer theirs to contain. It belongs to every phone, every feed, every pair of eyes watching from beyond those walls. And the world is already choosing sides. The ballroom hums like a hive about to swarm. Phones glow in every direction, the light cold and merciless. Kenya glances down at her cracked screen. 9:54. The numbers pulse against spidered glass, reminding her she has 6 minutes left until her keynote, the one she may not live to give if this spiral continues. She adjusts the napkin at her cheek, blood seeping through again. Her broken fingers throb, swollen, useless. She exhales, steadying herself. She has stitched arteries in war zones with less composure than this moment demands. Her phone buzzes. Private call. The vibration rattles against the marble where it lies discarded. She doesn't reach for it. The name she won't allow anyone to see flashes, then vanishes. Another buzz follows. William Sterling, her father's name screaming across the screen. 10 missed calls stack one over another like accusations. She ignores them all. At the room's edge, Chief Murphy, the head of hotel security, sweats under the weight of his uniform. His radio crackles in his ear. Orders? Someone demands. He doesn't respond. His eyes flick from Victoria's manic grin to the sea of cameras. Every instinct screams to intervene. But he knows the second he lays a hand on Kenya, the internet will roast him alive. He lingers, frozen between duty and disaster. Victoria notices his hesitation. She spins toward him, tiara glittering under the chandeliers. Why are you just standing there? Drag her out. Murphy lifts a hand to calm her, but it trembles. His throat works as though words have lodged there. He doesn't move. Kenya's phone buzzes again, vibrating like an insect desperate to escape. Private call. Then again. The sound grates against the hush of whispers. She presses her good hand over it, silencing the tremor. From across the room, David Kim raises his voice above the mutter. The whole internet is watching this feed. Do you understand that? You so much as touch her and this gala burns down before midnight. Victoria sneers, clutching her clutch tighter, eyes gleaming. Empty threats. My father owns this room, this night, this city. She pulls her own phone from her bag with a flourish. And now he'll hear what his daughter did for him. She dials, puts it on speaker. The ring echoes across the ballroom. Then her voice, sharp as broken crystal. Daddy, it's me. I saved the gala. A woman tried to sneak in, tried to humiliate us. I put her in her place. Everyone saw. Aren't you proud? Her friends nod desperately, as if their approval can shield her. The crowd recoils. Phones catch every word. Kenya stares, jaw tight, eyes burning steady. Her phone buzzes again, the cracked glass lighting her face with each vibration. She doesn't move. Murphy swipes sweat from his temple. He knows something larger is cresting. He hears it on the phones, in the way the crowd shifts, in the panic climbing the chandeliers like heat. He presses his radio again. We need backup, he mutters, but even he doesn't sound convinced. Victoria laughs, a brittle, desperate sound. See, she has nothing. She won't even answer her calls. Pathetic. Kenya finally lifts her eyes, voice low, but cutting through the air like a scalpel. 3 minutes. What? Victoria spits. Kenya glances at her phone. 9:57. 3 minutes until the truth walks through that door. The hush that follows is heavier than silence. A stillness so sharp, the whole ballroom can feel the countdown pressing against their ribs. Every tick of a watch, every buzz of a phone, every heartbeat is another step toward whatever is about to break. The countdown is nearly audible. Watches tick, phones buzz, throats tighten. At 9:59, the ballroom doors crash open. William Sterling storms inside. The billionaire patriarch, silver hair slicked back, tuxedo askew as if he dressed in motion, commands the room by sheer force of presence. Gasps ripple like falling glass. Security parts instinctively. And the crowd pivots, lenses rising to capture the entrance. Father, Victoria cries, her voice shrill with relief. She pushes through her circle of enablers, arms outstretched like a heroine expecting applause. You came just in time. I saved everything. William doesn't answer. His eyes are already locked on Kenya. He sees the blood smeared down her cheek, the napkin clutched to swollen fingers, the sodden papers at her feet. He sees the ring of spectators, some averting their gaze, some grinning with morbid fascination, all complicit. He sees his daughter's diamonds still wet with another woman's blood. Victoria. His voice cracks the silence. Deep, ragged, dangerous. She smiles, desperate, eager. I stopped her from ruining us. She tried to sneak in, Daddy and I. He cuts her off with a gesture so sharp it's almost violent. He steps further into the room, his polished shoes crunching on scattered glass. He bends slightly, fingers brushing the ruined diploma at Kenya's feet. Harvard's seal smudged by wine and footprints. He lifts it, stares, then lets it fall back to the marble. The sound echoes like a gavel. Victoria tries again, words tumbling in panic. I did what you always taught me. Protect the family name. Don't let trash enough. His voice is thunder, filling every inch of the ballroom. Guests flinch, as though struck themselves. Kenya doesn't move. Her breath is steady, her gaze locked on him. For a moment, their eyes hold two people, measuring, remembering, knowing. William turns back to his daughter. His face is pale, carved with fury and shame. Do you know who she is? Victoria blinks, baffled, mascara beginning to smudge. A nobody, some liar with fake papers. Do you know, he roars, whose blood is on your hands? The chandeliers tremble with the force of it. The crowd recoils, then surges forward, hungry for the reveal. Phones tilt higher, capturing every frame. Victoria's bravado falters. Father, He steps toward her, closing the distance until she stumbles back against the champagne table. Bottles clatter. You are not a savior tonight, he says, voice low, lethal. You are the shame of this family. The words strike harder than any slap. The crowd exhales in one collective shudder. Sarah Carter whispers into her mic. He's turning on her. Her counter leaps past 15, 0 viewers. Victoria shakes her head, lips trembling. No, you can't mean that. He doesn't look away. His eyes blaze, not just with anger, but with something raw, recognition of his own failure. He lets it hang there, the silence stretched taut as wire. Finally, his voice comes again, each word measured. And when it does, Victoria, you will wish you had held your tongue instead of your arrogance. Kenya's phone buzzes again, faint but insistent. 10, 0. The countdown ends, and the reckoning begins. The ballroom is a held breath. Every lens tilts upward, waiting. Kenya's phone buzzes on the table. 10, 0. Flashing through its cracked glass. She doesn't touch it. William Sterling straightens, his voice ringing across marble and glass. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman you've seen beaten, insulted, humiliated, she is not an intruder. She is tonight's keynote speaker, and she is the largest single donor to this gala. Gasps rip like seams, splitting. A champagne flute slips from someone's hand, shattering into a spray of diamonds across the floor. Sarah Carter's whisper cuts through her mic. You heard him. Largest donor. Keynote. Her counter rockets. 20-0. 25-0. Comments flood. This is unreal. History. Right here. Expose her. Expose them. Victoria's face collapses. Powdered mask cracking. No, that's not true. She shakes her head, tiara slipping sideways. She's lying to you. Daddy. She forged those papers. She saved your life, William says, the words carved with fury and shame. The room freezes harder than the slap. Victoria stares at him, blinking, mouth opening but no sound escaping. What are you talking about? He takes a step closer, eyes locked on her like a judge pronouncing sentence. When you were 8 years old, do you remember collapsing at that charity event? Do you remember the doctors who rushed you to the hospital? Victoria's lips tremble. I remember. Lights, the mask, the machines. This woman, William says, pointing at Kenya with a hand that shakes, was the young resident who kept you alive in that operating room. She sewed your torn artery when everyone else said it was hopeless. She gave you every year you've lived since. The chandeliers dim beneath the weight of his voice. Guests shift, shocked murmurs swelling into a roar. Phones shake in trembling hands as live feeds explode with disbelief. Kenya doesn't move. She stands with blood on her cheek, broken fingers pressed against her gown, her eyes unreadable. Victoria staggers backward, nearly tripping over her gown. No, no, you're lying. That's impossible. But the crowd is already whispering, piecing it together. A woman in pearls gasps. She's a vascular surgeon. Another whispers, I read about her foundation millions for scholarships, hospitals, global health. Marcus Reed lowers his camera for a moment. Stunned, then raises it again. His lens zooms on Kenya's face, as if to etch it into history. Sarah's livestream counter breaks 50. 0. The comments flood. The doctor is the donor. She saved the daughter who struck her. Poetic justice. Kenya finally speaks, her voice calm, unhurried. I didn't do it for gratitude. I did it because it was right. That's what we swear as physicians. Even when the patient's family spits in our face years later. The words cut deeper than scalpels. The room groans under their weight. Victoria's knees buckle. She clutches the table, champagne bottles rattling around her. No, no, I can't. William doesn't soften. His fury holds steady. You struck the woman who gave you life. You tried to destroy her with the same hands she used to save you. Tonight, you humiliated yourself. But worse, you humiliated this family. Kenya's phone buzzes again. This time, she picks it up. A single notification glows across the broken glass. Your speech begins now. She looks up. The entire ballroom is silent, waiting. And for the first time, it is not Victoria they are watching, it is her. The chandeliers no longer dazzle. They tremble, scattering fractured light over a crowd that does not breathe. William Sterling exhales once, shoulders squared, then does the unthinkable. He bows. The Billionaire patriarch board seats, senators on speed dial. A man who has never lowered his head for anyone drops to his knees on the marble floor. Glass shards crack beneath him. A dark bloom spreads across his tuxedo trousers, where blood bites through the fabric. His hands press flat, trembling against stone polished by generations of privilege. Dr. Washington, he says, voice raw, echoing across the hushed hall. Forgive us. Forgive my family. Forgive my daughter. The silence is total, broken only by the buzz of Sarah Carter's phone as her live stream counter surges past 75. 0. The comment feed races. Is this real? He's kneeling. History in motion. Kenya does not move. Her good hand clutches her ruined credentials. Her broken fingers hang stiff at her side. The blood on her cheek has dried, a scarlet slash across bronze skin. She regards him with the cool distance of someone who has stitched flesh and bone through the night while others wept. William lifts his head, eyes gleaming with humiliation and sincerity. He turns toward the crowd, his voice carrying like a confession through a cathedral. You call me a titan of industry, a benefactor, a kingmaker. Tonight I stand only as a father one ashamed of his own blood. You've seen cruelty paraded as courage. You've seen arrogance dressed in silk. That is not strength. That is not sterling. The words clang against marble, heavier than steel. Gasps ripple. Phones tilt closer, catching his bent figure under the chandeliers. At the champagne table, Victoria shrinks into herself, tiara askew, gown wrinkled, face smeared with sweat and mascara. She whispers, "Daddy, stop, please." He swivels toward her, voice sharp enough to draw blood. Look at her. Look at the woman you struck, whose life's work outshines every cent of our fortune. You've shamed this name, this family, this city. Her lips quiver. I didn't know. That is the point, he roars. You never cared to know. You saw only skin, not substance. You saw threat, not salvation. And in your blindness, you became our disgrace. The crowd stirs, whispers swelling like a tide. Marcus Reed lowers his camera to wipe a tear, then lifts it again, framing the patriarch on his knees, the daughter shrinking, the doctor standing resolute. William's voice breaks as he delivers the final blow. From this moment forward, Victoria, you will learn respect the way others learn survival. Not through wealth, not through privilege, through humility. And if you refuse, you will no longer carry my name. The words thunder reverberating through the stunned ballroom. Kenya's phone buzzes in her clutch. Your speech begins now. She glances at the screen. Then, at William, still kneeling in blood. The room waits, caught between ruin and redemption. Every breath, a plea for what comes next. The microphone on the stage crackles, startled awake. The master of ceremonies, pale as linen, stumbles to his mark. His voice trembles into the hushed hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Kenya Washington, tonight's keynote speaker, and the single largest donor in this institution's history. The words explode like a dropped chandelier. Gasps, then silence, then the thunder of applause. Guests surge to their feet, chairs scraping in chaos. The clapping builds into a storm, echoing through marble, rattling crystal. Kenya steps forward, her gown stained, her cheek slashed red, her hand broken and cradled against her ribs. Still, she moves with the composure of a surgeon entering an operating room. The ovation pounds against her body like waves. She ascends the stage, turns, and faces them all. Her voice is calm, low, but carried by conviction. You've seen what happens when cruelty dresses as courage. You've seen what arrogance looks like in silk. And you've watched it unfold not behind closed doors, but before the entire world. Phones rise higher, capturing every syllable. Kenya's gaze sweeps across the ballroom. I could end this evening here. I could close my wallet, withdraw my pledge, and watch the deals you came for collapse before dawn. No contract signed, no funds released, no legacy secured. Murmurs ripple like electricity. Eyes widen. The air grows hot under the chandeliers. But that would be easy. She continues, her tone harder now. Justice isn't easy. Change isn't easy. We only learn when we face what we'd rather hide. The silence is absolute. Only Sarah Carter's live stream buzzes in the background, her counter sprinting past 100. Comments blur. Preach. Powerful. History unfolding. Kenya lifts her chin. So here is my condition. This gala will proceed. The pledges will stand. But only if the woman who struck me tonight, the daughter of this house, joins the project. I am launching an initiative on equality and justice that will dismantle the very arrogance you all witnessed. Gasps, then stillness. Every eye turns to Victoria. Kenya's words cut the silence like a scalpel. If she joins, we build. If she refuses, I withdraw. The choice belongs to her. She lowers the microphone. The chandeliers hum with applause, swelling again, greater than before, surging through the ballroom like a tidal wave. But the thunder is not for William Sterling, not for the name on the invitations. It is for the woman on stage, blood still drying on her face, who has just turned humiliation into an ultimatum. Victoria stands frozen, mascara streaked, tiara tilting, the weight of thousands of eyes pinning her to the floor. The applause drowns her silence, demanding an answer. The applause pounds like a heartbeat through the marble. It is relentless, louder than the orchestra ever was, louder than the slap that started it all. Guests rise one by one, until the whole room is on its feet. Crystal rattles on tables. Gold-threaded gowns blur in the storm of clapping hands. On stage, Kenya stands steady in the downpour of sound. Blood still streaks her cheek. a diagonal mark catching the chandelier light, like war paint. Her broken hand is bound in a white cloth, offered by a trembling waiter. Red leaks through, staining it into a banner. She does not flinch. The ovation stretches on. It transforms from celebration into something heavier, an act of penance. Even those who whispered earlier, who looked away when cruelty raged in silk, now pound their palms raw. They clap as though it could erase their silence. Victoria Sterling cannot stand it. The thunder presses her downward until her shoulders hunch. Her tiara slides crooked, hair falling limp around her face. Mascara streaks into black rivers down pale cheeks. She bows her head, the posture not chosen but forced, the weight of shame bending her spine. Her knees tremble against the champagne table as if even the furniture recoils from her touch. William Sterling remains on the floor, not rising, not daring. His eyes are fixed on Kenya. The patriarch of a dynasty kneels like a supplicant, tuxedo stained with glass cuts and blood that is not his own. Kenya waits until the clapping ebbs, until silence falls heavy again. She lifts the microphone once more. Her voice is calm, measured, ringing clean through the hall. This is not about one family. It is about every room like this one where power excuses cruelty, where silence is safer than truth. Tonight we build differently. Phones capture every syllable, streams overflowing. Sarah Carter's viewer count bursts past 150. Zero. Comments explode. She's rewriting history. This is justice. Never forget this night. Kenya's gaze lands on Victoria. You have a choice, she says. Hide behind your name or step into the work that name has tried to destroy. My condition stands. Join, or I walk away, and I take every promise with me. The air thickens, every breath held. Victoria's lips part. No sound comes. Her eyes dart from the cameras to her father, to the woman she once called nobody. The silence stretches, suffocating, until she lowers her head fully. A gesture of surrender. Her voice is a whisper, almost lost. I'll join. A wave rolls through the crowd, gasps, then cheers, then applause once more. Louder, wilder. This time, it is not penance. It is awe. Kenya lowers the microphone. She does not smile. She only nods once. Sharp, decisive. The ovation rises again, shattering the chandeliers with sound. Guests weep openly. Security forgets their posts. Even Marcus Reed lowers his camera, trembling, because no lens could ever capture the gravity of this moment. At the center of it all, illuminated by 100 fractured lights, Kenya stands tall. Her cheek is slashed red, her gown ruined, her hand broken. But she holds the stage, unshaken, the only steady figure in a hall that is turned into a reckoning. The Gala, once a shrine to power and vanity, has become a courtroom, and under its chandeliers, a verdict has been delivered. The applause roars on, endless, as Kenya Washington does not flinch. What happened on that red carpet wasn't just a scandal, it was a mirror. A billionaire's daughter thought her last name gave her permission to humiliate someone in public. She didn't just slap another guest. She slapped dignity, justice, and the basic truth that everyone deserves respect. The cruel irony? The woman she targeted was not only the keynote speaker, but the one holding the very checkbook that kept that glittering event alive. It's easy to write this off as drama, or rich people behaving badly. But it's deeper than that. It exposes how prejudice festers in plain sight, disguised as glamour and entitlement. The words, "you don't belong here," carry centuries of poison, and tonight the world saw them broadcast live. And yet there was also something else. A father who finally said what should have been said long ago. A woman who, despite being attacked, chose to use her voice for something bigger than vengeance. That's the part that lingers. If stories like this make you angry, unsettled, or just more awake to the injustices around us, don't scroll past. Hit subscribe. There are more stories, more truths, and more reckonings that deserve to be heard.